Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So, my social media links will be provided for you, along with Substack, email, and also to include onto this, buy me a coffee. That link will be provided for you. And it's a work in progress, so on Buy Me a Coffee, there'll be an exclusive and extensive writings on there. And, if you have suggestions about things you would like me to write about, feel free and contact me through my email. And also, you enjoy my content, feel free to click on over onto Buy Me a Coffee. Give your support. So, audio platforms, I'm on Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and I'm looking to grow to wherever you enjoy your content. I'm definitely on that. So this episode is about the Weavers. I'm starting out with the background and along with the musician's background. Onto that, I'm going to add the historical aspect of the background of what they were dealing with and everything else that connects with the band. All right, here we go. So I would like to give some early thoughts and then go into depth about these thoughts throughout the episode in which I'm referring to this particular episode about the Weavers and their songs. I think it's very interesting, the particular song that they chose to sing, particularly, for instance, the traditional Hebrew song, which I will go into depth about the particular song that I'm referring to. And it's really remarkable choosing a song like this at the time when World War II was going on, in the height of the social unrest and the horrors of the Holocaust. And just a beautiful remnant of showing the heartfelt message of singing a song like this and giving awareness to Hebrew traditions. And I think that helps to break down and get people to thinking about the world outside of themselves. And it's really remarkable that these things were presented at this time. It was such a turbulent time in history. And I think that's what goes along the line of throughout history, periods in time that still withhold and people look back onto, and that remain in people's presence and thoughts, that sense of shared bonds with people and connecting with people instead of being divided or using obscure things or using small things to find a means to cause an argument or a fight. And so on and so forth, going on to If I Had a Hammer, talking about things like this as far as the nobility of the human spirit. And also going on speaking with the idea, and I will address this song in more detail and give more thoughts about this, a song that was prevalent by Leadbelly, and it coincidentally became popular after his death, and the way they put their interpretations with it is really something to speak on. And of course, that it goes without saying, negative criticisms again with race and saying, well, it's just another case of upholding and taking from another race. But I don't think it was that. I think we have to look at the real marks of what was done and the real intentions. Because Leadbelly and the Weavers, they were singing together. They were a part of a community together. And this spreads the ideas and the importance of how unique music is, which no matter where your background is and your genre of music, somehow people can find strands to connect and unify. And I think that's how we should look at music, as a way to hear different sounds and understand these different sounds and have an appreciation. And then within the appreciation, breaking everything down and saying what's the reason behind these things, and then the shared experience of enjoying the music. And then on the other hand, of the negative aspects of what can happen out of being pertained to a lifestyle within music, breaking that down and saying, well, what is the reasons behind this negative impact on society? Is it a manufactured goal? Whereas what I'm talking about from the music industry, pushing up these negative stereotypes about things and profiting from it, and a means to dull people from enlightening themselves through music? Or is it possibly a governmental issue of backing certain negative stereotypes, particularly rap, particularly how that is staying down with the Black community, and having a governmental political agenda surrounded with that, and upholding these things as normal when it's deviant. And going outside of that, pop, with the sexualization of things, particularly going back, I remember, as a millennial in the 2000s, when I would see and hear different things, particularly in the pop music industry. It was, for instance, Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle, you gotta rub me the right way. So what does that exactly mean? Is that something as far along the lines of my love is transactional? What's going on with that? And Britney Spears and Shakira, all kinds of stuff. And it just begs all of these questions. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, Zena. Zena is a popular song that holds deep historical significance, originally released in 1947 by the Weavers, an American folk music quartet. This song was not only captivated by audiences during the time, but continues to resonate with listeners around the world. So, the historical context. This period was crucial in the information of the state of Israel, and the song served as an anthem of hope and resilience during those turbulent times. The lyrics reflect the desire for peace, unity, and the long for a better future. The Weavers, known for their ability to infuse folk music with social and political messages, recognize the power of Zena, and it is with its ability to bring people together. Upon its release, the song quickly became an international sensation, allowing listeners to connect with the struggles and inspirations of the Israel people. So, believe the pronunciation of the original writer of this song is Yekel, and Chanjik, I believe. Excuse my pronunciation. So he was the original writer. And going back on along the lines of what I was saying, so it is just an ever-present example of holding on to the tides of recognizing an undeniable horror and uniting yourself and taking a stand and finding peace and light within this unspeakable thing that's going on to the Israel nation, to Jewish people, and to the Hebrew people, and saying that we're American, but we want to lend an olive branch to you and comfort you in these trying times. And I think it's also a spiritual aspect to that too, to where particularly in the Christian faith and a lesser extent other faiths, but particularly in the Christian faith, where we're all united, we're all together, and the presence of Jesus Christ. And he came down to sacrifice himself, and for us to uphold and understand his sacrifice is for our betterment and his outright love for us. And tying into that, the spiritual nature of to be understanding and uniting and suffering and want to make things better. It's really something to say about that. So, themes. Performed in Hebrew and English, speaks of unity, camaraderie, and the celebration of life amidst trying circumstances. The repetitive chorus of Tenza, 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 Tenza creates an infectious rhythm, inviting listeners to engage in the joyous spirit of the song. The verses, despite scenes of people dancing, sharing laughter, and embracing the hope of a brighter future, it embodies the strength of resilience of a community facing adversity, recounting the hardships of the past while urging everyone to come together and create a better tomorrow. And it's a lot to be said when you're in the face. It's just unimaginable to be in the face of such hate and cruelty just because you feel that your way is right or your race is the superior race, and to just annihilate, to kill people because you believe that what your way of thinking is true is unimaginable. And then it's also something to say about how it really begs the question, too, with all of these things, on another note of this, of how serving up the ideas of a nation buying into this, what does that break down to being complacent, and it's slowly leaking with complacency until it just explodes, from my personal opinion, to this horrific killings, and just, it's just really, really, wow. And personally, it's really something to say with the resilience within the strength of that. I remember when I was in the 9th grade in Houston, there's a Holocaust museum. And my teacher, he was a theater teacher. He took us there because he wanted us to understand this from it, not only from the educational point of view, but from the personal point of view, because I think this museum has now I'm not sure about other museums that center around the Holocaust, but particularly the one that I'm mentioning in Houston, they have people who went through the Holocaust speaking to us and speaking to the youth, speaking to anybody, who wants to come and understand the story of the Holocaust. It was a lady, she was only 7 at the time, and she was recounting all of the uncertainty, all of the just fear and trying to survive in the midst of these things. And she still managed to hold on to hope that there will be another day. There will be, you can build yourself from this. And just this mass destruction, she still believed and hold on to that. And it's just unbelievable, the kind of tenacity that you have in your heart to do this. And it left me speechless. And I hugged her, and it just really resonates, and it just gives you inspiration to understand and see the importance of life, and what things, let go of things that at the moment that seem important, but it reminds you what really is, and that's really quite remarkable. All right, so let's move on to the next song. All right, so If I Had a Hammer. Peter Seeger and Lee Hayes were founding members of People's Songs, a music publishing company that specialized in tunes that supported various left-wing causes, including hammer and sickle communism. At his first board of directors meeting, Seeger and Hayes staved off boredom by passing a sheet of paper back and forth, collaborating on the lyrics that became If I Had a Hammer. That Labor Day, at a show promoted in a communist newspaper, Seeger debuted the song in concert. His co-star on the bill was Paul Robinson. Impressed by the crowd reaction, Seeger and Hayes then recorded If I Had a Hammer with the new group. The Weavers was their first release on the tiny Charter Records label. Ronnie Gilbert and Free Hellerman rounded out the quartet. It was a collector's item, said Hayes. Nobody but collectors never bought it. In 1952, the lyrics were revised by a bit by fellow radical activist Libby Frank, who insisted on singing My Brothers and My Sisters instead of what Seeger and Hayes had written, All of My Brothers. Hayes objected. It doesn't rip off the tongues as well. How about All of My Siblings? But finally agreed. A decade later, the melody itself was rewritten by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Most people nowadays sing it as if they heard it on PPM's record, admitted Seeger. This Peter, Paul, and Mary version reached top 10 in October 1962. A Latin teen interpretation recorded live at PJ's nightclub in Hollywood became an even bigger hit. In 1988, with Paul Zollo, Peter Seeger said, "The way I sing it now, what I often do is joke with an audience. I point out that you can sing it the way I wrote it, or the way Peter, Paul, and Mary rewrote it, or half a dozen other ways, and they all harmonize with each other. I say this is a good moral for the world. As a matter of fact, I'm convinced that musicians have got a more important role to play in putting a world together than they're usually given credit for. Because musicians can teach the politicians. Not everybody has to sing the melody." The hammer in the song is a metaphor for power and a call to use that power to promote love and fight injustice. It's a song that has endured throughout changing times because of the message. It is consistent. The civil rights movement embraced If I Had a Hammer as a kind of anthem. But this song was also sung very much a part of grassroots movements like the peace movement and the environmental movement. Ergo of Peter, Paul, and Mary. This is a song of empowerment and songs that empower with the sense of elasticity so they can relate to the world as it evolves, also will remain with us. Thanks to its populist pro-union songs, Seeger got some ink in a newspaper called Daily Worker, which distributed around New York City. The paper was published by an organization called Communist Party USA, which became an obvious target for the House UN American Committees, which was a congressional committee devoted to purging domestic communism. Seeger was called to testify before the committee on August 18, 1955, and his song became a topic of question. Chief Counsel Frank Travenor produced a copy of the Daily Worker from June 1st, 1949 that read, "The first performance of a new song, If I Had a Hammer, on the theme of the Foley Square trial of the communist leader, will be given to a testimonial dinner for the 12 on Friday night at St. Nicholas Arena." And out of all of these questions, this is what Seeger added. "I am proud that I have sung for Americans of every political persuasion and I have never refused to sing for anybody because I disagreed with their political opinion. And I am proud of the fact that my songs seem to cut across and find perhaps an unfine thing, basic humanity. And that is why I would love to be able to tell you about these songs, because I feel that you would agree with me more, sir. I know many beautiful songs from your home country, Carbon and Monroe, and I hitchhiked through there and stayed in the homes of minors. Seeger was sentenced to a year in prison for contempt, but never served the time as the verdict was refused in 1962. As a result of the sentence, Seeger was not welcomed onto network television until years after the reversal. ABC, NBC, and CBS were beholden to congressions for their broadcast licenses, so it was in their best interest to keep Seeger off the air. The cover of the song by Peter, Paul, and Mary, submitted entitled The Hammer Song, was their first big hit. It was released on their debut self-titled album of 1962. And then in the Rick Polaski book, Don Kirshner, The Man with the Golden Ear, which goes on to say his father was a record buyer for a Philadelphia chain store and would bring home some stacks of 45 RPM records for his son to sort through, looking for good candidates. Rich thought of it as a fun game called Find the Hit. The song was the first pick from a pile of records he desired as one bomb after another. And this adds to the content of the story of people adding to the tapestry of this song. This song is regarded as a classic protest anthem, but not all protest singers appreciate it. When Michelle Obama requested it during a performance at 2010 Civil Rights Era music celebration at the White House, Baez, I believe that's the pronunciation of her last name, Joan Baez, refused, as she finds the song quite annoying. If I had a hammer, hit myself on the head, she said. Now, again, let me make it clear that communism, I'm not a fan of that. But it's really something to say when you dig down and deep and hit on the source of, pun intended, hit on the source of what the intentions were behind the song, to shed and talk about humanity. And again, as I was bringing up about how music can unite and bring people together and put people at the next step to think about how to just think about things, whether it improve their situations, whether it improve relations and ties with other people, prove where see spirituality in a different way, see education in a different way, see a lot of things in a different way. And it's something to say about that. All right, so I'm going to wrap up with the last song. So, good night, Irene. This is a standard, meaning this is a folk standard, meaning no one knows who wrote it. But Lead Belly's version has become the most widely recognized. In the song, he's obsessively in love with Irene, but can't be with her. So he'll have to settle for dreaming about her. It takes a dark turn at the end when he sings. If Irene turns back on me, I'm gonna take morphine and die. Lead Belly, whose real name was Huddy Ledbetter, developed the song while serving time on murder charges in Sugar Land, Texas from 1918 to 1925. He was pardoned by the governor after writing a song asking for his release. But in 1930, Lead Belly was once again jailed, this time in a state prison in Angola, Louisiana, convicted of attempted murder. In 1933, and with a music historian, came as a part of a project for the Library of Congress. He was looking to record black convents to preserve their songs. The first several inmates he auditioned were unworthy, but Lead Belly had the goods. One of the songs that Lormack won over was Goodnight Irene, which Lead Belly called Irene. Now, most recorded versions are much more tame than Lead Belly's original, with the line, "I'll get you in my dreams," replaced with, "I'll see you in my dreams." Goodnight Irene was a number one hit for the group The Weavers. Now, this begs to say, with me ending on this note, I think, and then because they're taking their rendition of it, The Weavers, and it became widely popular, that again is remnants of trying to take an appreciation for something and make it your own, rather than it looking on the surface as if it's, just another example of a race relation issue, per se, saying, oh, this white person is taking from this black person and just holding it on their own. And I really don't think that's the case, because they were all connected as far as going on the circuit for folk singing and all of this. And it's something to say about that, the power of finding unity within music and just appreciation of things. Going back again with Elvis, saying, oh, Elvis was just another white singer that took away from the black culture with music, when that wasn't the case. He credited his foundation, his love and appreciation for black culture. And it's really something to say about that. And I think we should all look towards that in order to really see and get out of the mental fog of labeling things that are racist when it's not. Like, really, I think just delving deep within and really seeing the story for what it is. And that's something to think about. So, this reaches the end of Harbor Light. And this time I'm going to tell you, keep a lookout for Monday. Instead of giving a clue, I'm going to see how that works out. Keep a lookout for Monday on the next episode. And I might sprinkle a little clues on the social media X there. And again, on Friday, I will post the sources for all of these episodes that I did for this week pertaining to weavers and everything else pertaining with this. All right, so tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye now.